Hello there, friends. Today is March 22nd, 2024, and today we're taking a look at this Victor Wembanyama rookie card from the 2023 NBA Hoop set. It's a base set card, number 277. We're going to address what it's worth in a raw grade, a PSA 9 grade, as well as a PSA 10 grade. We'll establish fair market value, create first, second, third offers, as well as I'll let you know what I personally would be selling it for if I was selling it from my own collection. So let's get onto it. We do have a few pages here to look at. Down below, we've got an interpretation of all of the stats. Up top here, though, on the right-hand side, we have 15 recent auction comps that I took off of eBay. These are sales that happened recently. I also did something a little different this time. I sorted it by free shipping because I wanted to see, since this card is definitely on the lower end of the spectrum for a Victor Wembanyama card as far as price point is concerned, I wanted to see what these cards were going for without having shipping costs kind of change the value of it, if that makes sense. There are a lot of shipping costs out there that are $5, $6 for just one card shipped, and I thought that kind of bit too much out of the value for the card. So I just sorted it by free shipping, and I collected the most recent 15 comps based upon that. As you can see, pretty straightforward graph on that. Anywhere from $5.50 all the way up to $12.50. Keep in mind, in a raw grade, people are trying to get their hands on the best card, right? And so that's why you're seeing that big swing. These numbers that I'm going to give you today, especially these ones down below, I would recommend using them in person at a card show, at a card shop, so you can actually see the cards in hand. Make sure they've got those sharp edges, sharp corners, clean edges, surface isn't scratched, things along those lines. Make sure you're getting the best card that you can. As far as these numbers are concerned, let's take a look in the top right-hand corner here first. We have 5,958 PSA submissions. 4,614 of them have come back a PSA 10. So that's a 77% return rate for a PSA 10. That is insanity. That is crazy. And so that leads me to believe that these big swings between low to high aren't nearly as important because so many of them are coming back at that 10 rate. Down below, we see 5 different cell colors here. Blue is going to be the average bid price people paid in order to win one of these cards at auction. That comes in $9.34. So on average, that's what you had to spend to get one of these cards. Obviously, this time around, we have $0 shipping. That's the average shipping. No problem there. For an out-the-door price, still at $9.34. Now, this number is not what I would consider to be fair market value for this card, because sellers have fees that they have to pay right off the top. And those fees range between 13 and 15%. And so that's what this orange number represents. This is the average take home for sellers after paying their fees, $7.80. I would consider this to be fair market value for this card. It's still not what I want to pay. I want to do a stoplight offer system. First, second, third, I should say, offers. 70% is the green offer as my first offer at $6.54. And again, that's 70% of this blue number here, not of the orange. 70% of the blue. 75% of the blue is going to be $7 even. And then we've got $7.47 is an 80% offer. Usually, that is my hard stop on a card. However, I like to make sure I get into the bottom third of sales. So I sort this one ascending and I'll drop down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is why I like to check the bottom third, especially when we're getting so many PSA 10s come back. $6.44 gets me into the bottom 5 sales in this comp list. So that means, even though that's below the $6.54, that changes my first, second, and third offers. For me, since I know I can get a card at $6.44 or lower, that means the green is my final offer. $6.54 is what I'm personally willing to pay for this card. Now, if I was wanting to get into the top third of sales, I go to the bottom of this list and go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $9.24 would net me about a $2.75 return on this card. That also equates to an $11 buy it now if you wanted to sell it quickly online. Set it for an $11 buy it now or minimum bid, and you could make the same amount of money back on the card. All right, so that's what it is for the raw. Let's talk about the PSA 9. These will go a lot faster here. Interesting thing about this PSA 9 is there's a much bigger swing on this card than I expected. Usually once you get cards graded, this graph doesn't look as chaotic. We had a $17.50 sale, a $41 sale, $31. Usually the graph is much tighter. So that's why I think there's an interesting market for this card. Truthfully, I really do, just because of that. There could be some potential profit making on this card if you bought low and sold on a high. So, and well, more so than typical PSA 9 cards, I should say. On average, people are paying $26.14 as a winning bid. Sellers are taking home $22.38, and then first offer is $18.30. Now, looking at the sort ascending here. Oops, my goodness, can't get my finger to work. A little bit of lag there. All right. So to get in the bottom third of sales, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, $20.95 gets me into the bottom third of sales. So that means that the red 80% offer is still my final offer on this card. $20.91 is what I'd be willing to spend on this card. Drop going up 5 from the bottom. $23.12 would net me a $2.25 or so profit. What's interesting about this card is sellers are taking home $22.38. Obviously, raw, fair value, $7.80. Now, in order to get it graded, you're looking at least $15 just for the grading right now. And that's when you grade a huge lot, and you're probably not going to be getting that card back for a couple months. So that means after shipping is taken into consideration, this seller, if they have a PSA 9, they lost money in general on this card. So that's obviously the problem that you might be facing. However, the 77% return rate for a PSA 10, I mean, it's almost worth the chance, right? If you get 3 cards back at a PSA 10 for a PSA 9, you might be making some money on that. Speaking of money, let's check it out. A little bit of a tighter graph here, but still we have some pretty massive outliers. $53 as the low, $90 as the high, even an 81 and a few 76s sprinkled in there. This card is so confusing to me. I'll be honest with you on that. Down below here, blue $66.82 is going to be the average bid, $57.67 fair market value, and $46.77 would be first offer. Getting into the bottom third of sales, we are looking at $53.49. So that means that the red is still my final offer on this card. However, I'm going to be very honest with you. With the amount of cards that are out there, right? I'm thinking I still want to stick at that $46 first offer. I think 70% on this card is fair. There's a ton of them on the market. It's not really a very high raw state price point to get it raw. I would have a hard time paying anything more than this $47 or so for this card. Of course, when you're talking a few dollars here and there, maybe it doesn't make sense to fight that battle. If $50 gets you the card, fine, I guess, but I'd love to be closer to that $47 mark on this card. Also, I should point out, in my opinion, this price point, as far as getting your card graded, having it gone for a few months, tying your money up for a few months in a card such as this, I think this price point at fair market value for $57.67 means that this card is not worth grading for me. It really does. I think I would much rather spend money and put an investment in another card that I know I can get a sort of more significant profit margin around and still keep my money fluid. So because of that, I'm not in on this NBA Hoops card. I wish I was, but I just think there's too much on the market right now. And the turnaround in order to make sure that you can make some value out of getting it graded is just too long for me. But hopefully that helps you understand what your card is worth. If you already have one of these in your collection, congratulations. I'd be more than happy to already have it in my collection It's just going through the effort of getting it there at this point. For me, not worth it. Take care, my friends.